of effect is basically a psychological observation observed by this man, Edward Thorndike. However, before we start with the law of effect, we need to discuss positive and negative reinforcement. Positive and negative reinforcement is used to adjust behavior that we perceive as incorrect. Incorrect behavior can be adjusted in one of two ways, positively or negatively. Using positive adjustment behavior is basically like bribing someone, like giving a child money for cleaning their room or letting them go out and play with their friends. Or, one of the best bribes for getting anyone to do anything for you, chocolate. How many of us have not been coaxed into doing insane things for a little piece of chocolate? Exactly. No one. Everyone has done something for chocolate. For example, myself. Well, not me, my cousin. When I was younger, I more or less convinced my younger cousin to being my slave. She used to do my laundry, fold my clothes, fetch things for me, water, clean my room. I think maybe I had her do my homework. No, I didn't. I didn't like her writing style. She would do all of this stuff and not complain even once, simply because every time she accomplished one of her little missions, she got a little teeny tiny piece of chocolate. I think it was one of those Hershey's Kisses. The only person I think who was ever immune from doing anything for chocolate was probably my father. Aside from chocolate, one of the most effective positive reinforcements, money. People will do almost anything for money. We will listen to rude customers. We will spend hours talking with these people who are incredibly ridiculous. We will listen to terrible bosses who demean and torture our very existence. Yet, even though they are a babbling, bumbling band of baboons, we will sit there in our little cubicle punching away at those numbers simply because we want that paycheck that will possibly buy us that little piece of happiness that we all desire. So that's positive reinforcement, adjusting behavior in the pursuit of a reward, like money or chocolate. But what about negative reinforcement? Negative reinforcements are basically punishments for incorrect behavior, like throwing a criminal in jail, punishment for committing a crime. A far less extreme example would be like grounding a child for lying. Or a rather well-known example, spraying your cat with water for cutting up those poor curtains. But so what? Hooray for positive and negative behavior. That's all very interesting, but it's not why we're here. We're here for the law of effect. The reason I bring up positive and negative reinforcement is because it's very similar to the law of effect. One could even call these psychological observations sisters or twins or brothers, family. See, in the Management Fundamentals textbook written by John R. Schermerhorn Jr. and Barry White, it says, the law of effect states that behavior followed by pleasant consequences is likely to be repeated. Behavior followed by unpleasant consequences is not. The law of effect is basically like positive and negative reinforcement, but this time the reinforcement method is just the consequences, the response that we get from the environment. Like when people applaud a baby for saying its first word, the baby perceives the applause as enjoyment, fun, positivity, and so it will repeat the word again to get that positivity back. Another example of the law of effect is this guy, Gibbous. He's a fictional character from popular sci-fi show Doctor Who. Gibbous is from the fictional planet Trivoli, which is invaded all the time. They're invaded so much that their theme song, national anthem, is actually Glory to insert name here. The reason that they're invaded so much is because the Trivolians don't fight. Long ago, somewhere around the beginning of time, the Trivolians were invaded and they fought, but they were nearly annihilated. They survived because their leader stopped fighting and surrendered. When the leader surrendered, the invaders stopped killing them, and they perceived this as a positive environment. So now, whenever the Trivolians are invaded again and again and again, they only surrender because the invader no longer decides to kill them and lets them live. This habit of theirs of always surrendering is a perfect example of the law of effect. They observed that their behavior surrendering to their latest invader, gained a positive response, them not being wiped off the face of the universe, and generally left them unharmed. Because of this positive and correct behavior, they repeat it every time this situation crops up again. But also, who cares again? It's just a fictional character. Creepy aliens who don't even exist. Why do they matter? Well, just as the Trevolians, people in the business world have also done similar things. Well, okay, not exactly. I mean, we're not going off invading each other, but the basic principle is the same. For example, Ford. In 1971, they released this car, the Pinto, which had a problem in the design and basically just blew up. Allegedly, Ford knew about this design flaw and simply decided to pay off lawsuits, as that would be cheaper than recalling all the cars and redoing the design. However, as always, the truth came out and Ford was found out, right around the time that their car had actually killed 27 people. Of course, Ford had to pay bucket loads of money to all the victims' families, but they also got a lot of bad press because of this terrible idea they had that, oh, we won't tell people, it'll all be fine, we can pay them off. People were outraged, and for a very long while, the car consumer model was, well, screw Ford. They don't care about me, I don't care about them. I'm going to go buy a different car. Recently, Toyota recalled 2.77 million cars from around the world. In fact, they recalled this car, the Prius Hybrid, which is apparently their dual favorite special car. They discovered that their precious car was experiencing trouble with the water pump and a steering shaft defect that resulted in faulty steering, which led to car crashes. Now, I know nothing about cars. I have no idea why water pump thing is an issue, or, well, okay, I get the steer shaft thing, you'll get into a car crash. However, although I know nothing about cars, I know what Toyota did. They did a very clever thing. Toyota, once they discovered that there was a problem in the cars, instead of just writing them off and paying off the victims, they recalled all these cars from around the entire world, from Japan, from Canada, obviously from the States, probably from Britain. They recalled all their cars. They ruined their record for having pristine quality, yet they put their customers first, allowing this problem to come to light, and now they're attempting to fix the problem. They learned from Ford's mistakes, and instead of trying to cover up and protect their reputation, they did the right thing and recalled their faulty vehicle. This act of theirs illustrates the law of effect. Car world people did something in the past that had a negative response from the public, and so car world people in present times, Toyota, when in a similar situation, remembered the previous mistake that other car people made, and they corrected them mistake behavior, receiving a less negative and even a somewhat positive response from the public. Now, this does not only happen with cars. It's happened many times throughout the business world. For example, BP's oil spill. They try to cover that up. Public respond to that badly. Now, when there's other oil spills, some companies will go out and admit that they did something wrong. Also, in the stock market, someone goes and ends up making terrible decisions. People after him know not to make that decision. In the business world, behavior is observed all the time. Everyone's making mistakes. Some people make it big, some people fail. And when someone messes up, the rest of the business world knows now what not to do. And they observe through this, the law of effect. And that is all. Good night.